Hello and welcome to Astrology with Zeke. Starting today, I am offering some more services beyond just the typical birth chart reading. One of them being a fertility uh, reading. Yes, you heard that right. With astrology, you can get a good read on a woman's fertility and whether or not she and her partner are also fertile together. You know, we've all heard the story of that one couple that were trying and trying for months to have a baby. Nothing was happening. All of a sudden, their relationship ends. She ends up with another guy, and then, bam, baby. I can use astrology to explain why that is. So I'm going to be using two royal couples as it's just easier to get information from them, as of course with royalty and nobility, producing offspring is incredibly important for continuity of governance. Um, and there's a lot of really, really good stories surrounding that. So I have two couples that I'll be going over. One that was fertile with some steps, and then one that was not. So with that out of the way, let's dive in. Okay. All right. So the first couple I'm going to be going over will be King Louis the 16th of France, you know, the last king of France, the one who got his head chopped off, and his wife Marie Antoinette, the lady who famously said, "Let them eat cake." Anyways, for those who don't know, they both had four children together. However, it took them years to have that first child. And actually, the king was getting publicly ridiculed. Uh, in the papers, there would be headlines saying, "Can he or can't he?" You know, things like that. However, we don't know why they had fertility issues. There's a whole bunch of theories as to why. But that's not what we're here to look at. We're here to look at the chart. So, first things first, I always like to look at the woman first because depending on what's going on in the woman's chart will kind of determine what kind of a guy she would be most fertile with. So, with that little caveat out of the way, let's look at Marie Antoinette's chart. So, if you want any woman to be like especially fertile, you want to see a lot of water in their chart. And we actually do have a good deal of water in Marie's chart. First, she's a Cancer rising, which, being the sign of the archetypal mother, is probably the most fertile sign out there. So that's really good. The next planet that you'll be looking at would be a woman's moon and where it's placed in. Her moon, which is also her chart ruler, given that she's a Cancer rising, is in Libra. Libra isn't the most fertile sign, but it's not a bad sign either. It is also in the fifth house, which the fifth house has to do with fertility. It's also a great thing. And her fifth house cusp, also in Libra. So overall, that's pretty good. Um, however, however, here's the big but. Uh, yeah, her moon is at the apex of a T square, and it is squaring both her Saturn, Capricorn, and her Mars in Cancer. And that is not great. This kind of square could indicate either troubles during a pregnancy, maybe, you know, possible miscarriages or something going wrong in the act of birth itself, and also maybe even delays with getting pregnant. So, with Marie, it'd be especially important for her to be with the right guy who has a lot of water to support her. Um, what does help her out is her Jupiter is co-present her moon, which is a good thing that kind of boosts her fertility and aids it, but not by much as it's not exactly conjunct, it's merely co-present, but it's Jupiter in the fifth house, so that helps. Also, the ruler of the fifth house cusp is Venus, another benefic, and it's in a water sign. It is in Scorpio. Um, it's not aspecting her moon per se, but the fact that it is the ruler of the fifth house cusp and still in the fifth house, that helps. So I think I've pretty much covered Marie's fertility as an individual. Let's go ahead and compare her chart to Louis the 16th. Okay, so the inside ring is Marie's chart with the outside ring being Louis. So right off the bat, the one thing I want to look at is where is the guy's moon? And you look at that right there. His moon is also in Scorpio, and it's making a nice conjunction to her Venus and her Sun. That's good. That's good. Also, his Venus is co-present her moon and Jupiter. That's also a nice boost. Uh, let's see. We'll also see if any of his malefics are doing anything negative to her chart. So we'll look at his Mars. His Mars, it's not doing anything bad. It's not aspecting her moon. So that's a good thing. Here's the but. You look at that Saturn right there in Capricorn squaring her moon. Yeah, that's not so great. And well, it's just Saturn and everything else is kind of looking okay. He doesn't have a whole lot of water. He's got water in the right places where it counts. Um, but there's not a lot of it. When you look at his chart, it's fire, some earth, you know, that doesn't quite help out. So what this indicates is, well, they should be able to get pregnant, and long term probably aren't going to have too many issues because of that. His Saturn squaring her moon, that indicates delays. It's going to take some doing. Um, with the chart itself, I can't say exactly why those delays are there. They're simply there. Um, That and another thing I do want to bring up is even though I did say that Scorpio is a fertile sign, because it's the sign of a death, rebirth, transformation, women with Scorpio placements prominent in their chart um, do tend to have difficulties when it comes to either childbirth or just pregnancy in general. Um, little bit on the personal side for me. For me, I think of my grandmother, my maternal grandmother. She had Scorpio on the fifth house cusp, and she did have 9 children. However, every single childbirth was difficult for one reason or another. On the bright side, all of her children are still alive to this day. Um, in fact, some of them are well into their 70s. So, I just want to make sure I put that out there for any ladies out there who know they have prominent Scorpio placements. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but don't be surprised if it's rocky at the start. So I just want to get that out of the way. All right. So I do believe we have covered this couple well enough. Um, So I'll just go ahead and move on to the next couple, which will be Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn, who famously was unable to give Henry VIII a boy. How dare her? Anyways, so let's go ahead and just look at her chart as an individual. So first, I'm going to look at her rising sign. She's a Leo rising. Now, Leo is technically speaking a barren sign. That being said, you always got to take the chart as a whole, so that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. So the ruler of her ascendant would be her sun. We look at the sun. Here it is, right in Taurus. Taurus is okay when it comes to fertility, not acts are fertile, but um, not barren either. So that's okay. That kind of makes up for her ascendant being in a barren sign. Next, we're going to look at her fifth house cusp. That goes through Sagittarius. Sagittarius is another sign that is okay. Um, she doesn't have any placements that aid or get in the way of fertility. So next, I'm going to look at her the ruler of her fifth house cusp, which is Jupiter. Jupiter's in Libra. Again, that's an okay planet for fertility. So again, not a deal breaker. However, we are going to look at her moon. And would you look at that? Her moon right there in Pisces. It's a water sign, and that greatly aids her fertility. However, it's not aspecting Jupiter or Venus, so that doesn't really help out. But on the bright side, no negative aspects to the malefics Mars or Saturn are being made, which is beneficial. So that doesn't hurt her fertility. So again, if I had her as a client and just looking at her, and I would really hope that whoever she ends up with has plenty of water in their chart, because looking at her chart, she really doesn't have much. So I would really like to see her end up with a guy who has a lot of water. So let's go ahead and compare her chart to Henry VIII's, because we all know they only had one child together, and that being the future Queen Elizabeth I. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to look at is what is his chart doing to her moon? Well, his Saturn isn't aspecting her moon. That's an okay sign. Uh, but his Mars is here in Virgo. It opposes her moon by sign. So that indicates the chances of something going wrong, miscarriages or a difficult childbirth, increases. Um, do any of his benefics support her? Let's see. Well, no, they don't. Both of his Venus and Jupiter are in Gemini, which by sign squares the moon. That doesn't harm, but it doesn't help either. Um, yeah, in fact, just to continue on, the only water placement that he has that you could say might help is his Cancer sun. It does make a nice trine to her moon, but that's like, I mean, it's like I guess it helps, I guess, but it's not a big help. On the bright side, their fifth houses do overlap, but his fifth house cusp isn't conjunct her fifth house cusp, nor is it in the sign of Sagittarius. So it's like, I guess it kind of helps, but not really. To be honest, like there's just not much going on here, Like there's one thing that could harm, indicate miscarriage. There's one thing that could indicate, maybe you'll have kids. Like if I was just looking at this chart of a couple, I would say you might have a kid, maybe one, maybe two. Um, but chances are there's just not going to be much going on. And when we look at the history, they had their daughter Elizabeth the First, uh, not too long after they got married. But after that, there was only the one, I believe, one miscarriage that was supposedly a male child. And beyond that, Anne Boleyn just didn't get pregnant again by Henry VIII. Um, Honestly, that could be attributed to the high amount of pressure and stress she was put under by him, you know. But it just kind of goes to show that they're just not they were never. Not only are they not a good couple and not really compatible, they also aren't compatible from a fertility perspective. So, anyways, I think that'll about do it for that. So just wanted to kind of give a demonstration on how you can use fertility to show how fertile a couple is together. Beyond that, you can also show what the best timing for pregnancy is. A really good rule of thumb is you should really be trying whenever uh, the sun and moon match whatever the sun and moon is doing in the woman's birth chart. Meaning, if a woman's born on a full moon, if you want to have babies, it's a good idea to be getting busy. Uh, Probably a day or so before the full moon. So yeah. Anyways, of course, it's different for everybody. And there's also different stuff going on that can complicate things. So it's always best to get a reading instead of just kind of winging it. It can save you a lot of heartbreak, maybe explain why you had issues in the past. So again, I am offering that service as of today. You can check it out on my website if you are so interested, or email me at astrologywithzeke at gmail.com if you have any questions, and we can figure something out. So I think that'll about do it for today, and we'll see you all next time.